Welcome to Friday Friends, RI Elder Info's weekly look at the organizations and individuals providing resources for Rhode Island seniors, caregivers, and professionals.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It is a fabulous fall Friday, and I am glad that you are taking the time to join me, Deb Burton, host of Friday Friends, where every week I bring you information and resources that you or someone you know needs to know about. So make sure you hit the like button, the share button, the bells, the whistles, the cues that say, hey, check this out. Today, as part of our series in the month of November dedicated to veterans resources and benefits, we are going to be speaking with Rachel Rose about applying for veterans benefits. What does that timeline look like? How does that all work? What documents you might need, etc. And it is going to be a great conversation. So please help us get the word out so that we can reach as many veterans and their families as possible. As you know, we are a nonprofit, and we could not do this without the support of our sponsors. So a big thank you to Point 32 Health Foundation, United Healthcare, and especially McCarthy Law. Here's a message from McCarthy Law.
Here at McCarthy Law, we practice in the areas of estate planning, long-term care planning, elder care law, and residential real estate. Our focus is really on providing peace of mind to our clients.
If you're interested in scheduling a consultation with our office, you can feel free to reach out to us at 401-541-5540. You can also reach out via website at www.mccarthylawri.com. You also should check out our social media, both on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn for some helpful tips and tricks.
Good morning, Rachel Rose. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Awesome. So please tell us who you are, what you do, and then we can jump into the whole veterans benefits.
Sure. So my name is Rachel Rose. I'm one of the paralegals here at McCarthy Law. So day to day, I work with Medicaid planning for the most part, but now we are branching into VA benefits, and I have a little bit of experience with that. So I'll be starting those processes along here. So I will be kind of explaining that today, I believe.
Yes, please. What is the process? Say, for instance, maybe you are just finding out that things have changed. Maybe you want to look into, am I eligible for benefits? Where does a veteran start, or where does their family help them start?
Sure. So there are a few things in applying for benefits. First, you are eligible for disability benefits if you have an injury, illness, or disease that was caused while you were in service. You have to have completed your service, and you have to be honorably discharged. So that just means when you get a form when you are discharged called the DD-214, and that will say your discharge, your rank, things like that. So most people have that and are able to apply for benefits. You also need a nexus event, which means that it's an event while you are in service that connects your disability to your service. So
what might be some examples of a nexus event?
Sure. So one that I hear often is in training, they pull something, and then that becomes a reoccurring issue.
Okay.
So, say you're training, you pulled something in your back, and now every time you bend over, you have sharp pain.
Okay.
That can be linked.
Does that include even the basic training in that period of time too?
It does.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
I did not know that. That's really important, because I feel like if I am probably a little too old to join the military, but I think if they said you need to go run, I will find a lot of parts of my body that will become injured very quickly.
Yes.
So
it shouldn't be a pre-existing condition normally. Right. Sometimes you can say that a nexus event in service agitated something, and then you can possibly get it connected. But for the most part, it needs to be something that started while you were in service.
Okay. So that's the nexus event. So something happens while you're in service.
Yeah.
And then you complete your service. Do you have to have served a certain amount of time before you're eligible to apply for benefits?
Nope, you need to have completed your contract. So it's usually the
Okay.
4 years and with an honorable discharge, or if you had like a medical discharge, something to that effect, you could still be eligible. You just can't be dishonorably discharged.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you have the Nexus event, you have your DD 214 discharge paperwork, which I'm sure you could advise, like, if somebody doesn't have it, where they could get it.
Yep, you can request it from your local VA office and they should be able to send you a copy. There's a file on each military personnel called a C file that VA houses. And right now I believe a lot of them are electronic and you can ask for that.
Okay. So we gather the information if you're able to yourself. And then what other things, like, do you have to get a copy of your medical records from like your community doctor, or are you only allowed to see like the VA doctors?
You can see any doctor that you choose. If you do apply for benefits, I will say, so there's a form called the 526 Easy Form, and that is what you fill out to apply for benefits the first time.
Okay.
So that starts, also it starts a clock really when you submit that. When you submit that, you'll put in your disability, you'll put in what you think the Nexus event is. You can submit medical records with that, either from when you were in service, like if you went to the infirmary for your injury, or if you went to a doctor afterwards, you can submit it with that as well. And then you also submit kind of different forms saying that you're be willing to go for exams. So VA will sometimes send you for a compensation and pension exam, and that is with a VA doctor normally, or a third party that they consult out to. And that is a very specific form where they mark yes, no, these are the symptoms, and based on that, they will rate you for your disability. Every disability for VA gets a rating, and based on that rating is how much you get paid.
Okay. Now, excuse me, somebody had mentioned that sometimes the injury that you encounter, that Nexus incident that you encounter during your tour, can also be something that then causes additional side effects. Do those additional things that come, do those count towards the original event and the percentage of disability rating? Like if if I like broke my leg,
Mhm.
in breaking my leg, maybe it kind of makes me limp and now my back hurts. Do
Right.
those things all count, or do they only look at my broken leg?
They can definitely count. They're called secondary conditions. You need to be service connected for the original condition first. So leg, you would have to be service connected for that. And then you could apply for secondary conditions based on that. You may not get a high rating for it because it's secondary, but you can definitely get something.
Okay. Okay. And so, a lot of the folks who watch Friday Friends or reach out to me, they may be older adults or caregivers for older adults, like our Vietnam vets, our Korean War vets, sometimes even our World War II vets. And the family members, they see that their loved one needs help, and they know that, they served back then, but they don't know what mom or dad went through. And so as a family member, how do they start to be able to help identify if their loved one is eligible for VA benefits, if they need more care as they get older? Like where does a family member start? Because it's the government, everything's super secure, as it should be, but still sometimes you got to get stuff done.
Absolutely.
How do you do that?
It can be difficult for sure. I think a lot of times too, the veteran doesn't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about what happened in service. They don't want to talk about their injury. They're very strong people and they don't want to be a burden to anyone. So I think first the family member needs to explain to the veteran that they can be cared for, that someone is there looking out for them, almost just like an extra set of hands really for them. So kind of pinpointing what they might need. So if your loved one, say, has always had a stiff back and they're like, oh, I heard it, while I was in service, maybe asking them, do you remember how that happened? Because unfortunately, VA isn't going to grant something unless you can prove that it's from service. And it can be difficult to do that the farther out you are.
Yep. And that is, that is a fair position for the VA. And there's been, a lot of rhetoric in the media about, veterans who may be applying for something. So it's fair to say that, the VA does want to see that it is related to you performing in the military,
Right.
Versus, I'm going to say I was, cutting down the tree in my backyard and it fell on me. And I'm going to say, oh, I hurt my back in the military. I understand where the VA wants to see that documentation. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I will also say sometimes the timeline can scare people because VA is known for just taking a while to submit responses.
It's the government, not known for speed.
I know. And sometimes too, when they get a denial, they will just take that, where a lot of VA benefits are won on appeal. So it can be a lengthy process. It can seem like a really big lift, but when you have support or you have the resources in place to do it, the benefits really outweigh the timeline.
Yeah. And if someone is identified as having a service-connected disability, what what do they get for it? What are the benefits of applying?
Sure. So it is based on the percentage, and this does change based on the year, based on the income levels at the time. So VA has it all on their website, and they change it pretty often. So like a 10% rating is the lowest rating you can get, and that'll be, I think it's like around $100 a month.
Okay.
But as you go up, you can be 100% service connected, and that pretty much gives you a livable income for the whole month. So it depends, again, what you need, what your rating is, and then you'll be paid out accordingly.
Yeah. And so I know that there are programs that require you to be, say, 70% service connected, disabled, or greater. Some of the benefits are accessible at that level in order to, say, receive funding for assisted living care or different kinds of home care, things like that. And that's all part of what is done in the application process, right?
Yes. So there are so once you get your percentage, there are different things you can apply for in addition to that. So there's like aid in attendance, which means a family member takes care of you daily. They help with your daily living tasks. And so they can get an added income from that. They can get
so the caregiver can get paid with the aid and attendance benefit?
So it doesn't necessarily go to the caregiver, but it will go to the veteran, and then they can use that as they need.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yep. So it could be that the aid and attendance money that they receive is something that they pay for the caregiver, but then they can also, if they find that there's something that would be helpful to enable them to better live independently, that the money could be used for that too.
Sure. There are different things that you can apply for once you have disability. There's housebound status benefits where you can see if VA will help you build ramps to your house, things like that. So it is super beneficial to see what you're eligible for, because say you do get service connected for something, all of these other resources open up for you.
Okay. And for veterans who, I speak to a lot of veterans. We have Calling All Veterans Day every year. And a lot of times they feel like if they're not applying, that those benefits and the funding would go to someone, quote, more deserving. Is that how it works? If I choose not to apply, even though I'm eligible, does that mean somebody else gets more? Or is it kind of the government has allocated funds for every individual, and if those individuals don't apply, the government keeps it?
Yeah, so the government issues a budget every year, and in that is a budget for veterans and veteran services. So disability does come from that. So I think the rhetoric does need to change around that, because every veteran is deserving of these services, 100%. So they're not taking away something from someone else if they don't apply. They're really just taking it away from themselves. This is something that can really change a person's life, especially if they did serve, and I absolutely think they're deserving of it.
Yeah, I feel that way too. Anytime a man or woman signs on the dotted line to maybe die to give me freedom and ease of life, yeah, what can I give you for giving that to me? That's so precious.
Absolutely.
Now, for veterans who are married
Mhm.
and I have identified that they have a disability, the veteran themselves has a disability, because we talked about spouses, there could be caregivers for the
Mhm.
veterans, but are there benefits for the veteran spouse that can help take care of the spouse?
Yes, yep. You can, when you apply for benefits, you can fill out I believe it's a 686 form, but it's a dependency form. And you fill out
Okay.
your spouse, you fill out children on there, and you can get an additional allowance per month based on that. There's also DIC benefits where if you have been married to a veteran who is service connected and you've been married to them for 10 years, you can get benefits if they pass from that disability.
Okay.
So
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
so
you
say
brought
they,
up a really good point on that one. How's that work?
right. So say they were service connected for a heart condition and they
Mhm.
passed because of that heart condition. And the spouse has been married to this veteran for 10 plus years, they can apply for these benefits and they will get, I don't believe it's the exact amount of what they were getting before, but they will get some sort of benefit after they pass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes spouses don't necessarily realize, unless certain steps are followed when the veteran is with us, that some of those payments that they were receiving was specifically for the veteran, and that income goes away.
Right. When a veteran
Um,
dies, normally it does stop pretty much immediately. They finish the month and then they would stop. So it is important too for spouses who have supported their veteran this whole time that they should also be supported afterwards.
Absolutely. And, you know, since we are talking about, what happens when we pass away, there are certain documents that have to be on file for a veteran to be um, buried at the veteran cemetery. Spouses can be also buried with the veteran at the veteran cemetery, but there is a small fee related to a spouse being buried with the veteran at the cemetery. And I feel like a lot of times in general, we don't talk about planning of when we're not here. Is that something that you and your coworkers can help veterans with and their families?
Absolutely. So we do estate planning in general, which helps make sure that when someone passes, all of their assets are protected and go to the family without going through probate. So during November, because it is Veterans Day on the 11th, we are doing 11% special on certain estate plans to help with that planning. In addition to
Okay.
that, yeah, with VA, we can also help fill out the forms for the burial plot and the veteran cemetery. We can help explain all of that.
Okay.
Those are simple forms to fill out. And I think sometimes government forms are terrifying, and I completely understand that.
And they don't have names, they have numbers that
They
make
have
no
numbers,
sense.
I know, and the numbers change. Sometimes they change. So we are also here to help explain that to our clients and make sure that they understand what's available to them.
Awesome. And so if people want to reach out to you or your team members, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can call our number, our mainline number, or they can email us through our website. And
That's
we,
the ML office at mccarthylawri.com?
yes, they can do that, absolutely.
Okay.
And then they will most likely speak with someone from our intake department. It
Okay.
might be myself or it might be someone from intake, but they will go over the facts of their case, see if they're eligible for benefits, if we're able to help them, and then we would go from there.
Awesome. Is there, if somebody's not sure, um, if they should or shouldn't or can or can't go forward, is there an opportunity for, like, I don't know, like a free 30-minute consultation or something like that to see if McCarthy Law is a good fit?
So for VA benefits, we would discuss all that on our intake call. And we would tell you right up front whether or not we're able to help you, because we don't want to waste your time 100%. After that, you would come in for a consult. And for VA benefits, we don't take a fee up front.
Okay.
The VA actually does allow us 20% of back pay, and that comes from VA. So we explain that to all of our clients.
Okay.
For estate planning, there is a price associated with consults, but again, that would be discussed over an intake call.
Okay. So no surprises. Everything's transparent.
Absolutely.
And you can handle all of this paperwork as a one-stop shop. And a couple weeks ago, I spoke with another individual, I think it was out in October, that you guys also provide care management so that as time goes by, if that veteran needs that extra support, in navigating health and social service systems, that your team has that. The flip side is also, if the veteran is a caregiver for somebody, your team can help them as well.
Absolutely. I think our team is so unique because we do have an exceptional elder care coordinator and team now that is able to assist people. So we can definitely do that. And I think too, like we said before, government forms are scary. Government timelines can be scary. Just having someone who will do it for you can take a huge burden off of a person. And that might be enough to kind of push them forward.
Absolutely. Rachel Rose, I'm so grateful that you were able to come on today and explain some of these timelines and some of these words and the steps involved. I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Not sure what happened with Ben. He's disappeared. I don't know. It's kind of odd.
Oh.
The good thing is he can cut this and edit it back in.
That's great.
Like editing in the outro.
Great.
Yeah, it's very odd that he's missing. Let's see. This is also the beauty of not really doing live.
Yes, that is great.
Let's see. I'm going to send him a text. Ben? Okay. I think, let's see. Don't know if you straight leave the studio.
Whatever you tell me to do.
Hey everybody. So this was a great conversation for our month of November dedicated to veterans resources, because there are so many different moving pieces. There's terms that can sometimes get you tripped up, and my goodness, the forms and the timeline. It was a great conversation about how all of those things fit together. So I am really grateful that you have joined me this week to get this information out to the community, to as many veterans and their families as possible. Remember, you served our country, and the country is here to serve you. There is no reallocation of benefits if you don't apply to somebody else. They're yours for you. And I encourage you to look into it for yourself, as well as the folks that you take care of. It can make a huge difference in people's lives. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you all again next week. In the meantime, be well and be kind.